So if you saw my last video, you'll know that middle school sucks. I was just praying and praying that I would not have the same experience that I had in middle school going into high school. Hi everybody, Brendan Rossai back again. This is the 5th episode of My Extra Ability, and tonight we're talking about high school years. And again, if you saw the last video, you know that last week's episode was a bit of a downbeat episode. A lot of negative things happened to me. Luckily, lightning will not strike twice. This one is more of an uplifting episode, and things started going my way, at least professionally. Once I got to high school, the years got better and better and better. Everything just started to click. It was at this time I was realizing that the people around me that were being sarcastic, that I originally thought were just picking on me, they were just trying to get me involved. They were trying to include me in their conversations. They were trying to include me in different activities, but I didn't realize it. Now, the big thing that really took off in high school and is still a big part of my life, obviously, is announcing. Like I mentioned in a previous video, this was when I really started to focus on announcing as a career. A lot of my peers didn't understand it, but I got involved with it because it was the one thing that made me feel like I belonged. I also got involved with the football team. I was the manager of the football team my sophomore, junior, and senior years. I wanted to be a part of something, but I couldn't contribute in a meaningful way on the football field. Because let's be honest, I'm not athletic at all. I'm not coordinated. I have the athletic ability of a rock. And me being out on the football field with 20 people smashing into each other and 11 guys coming right at me, I would be brown bread. But much like how Wesley Wonder Kids was a place for me to interact with people on the autism spectrum, being a member of the football team, even though I wasn't a player, taught me how to interact with athletes, which is what I'm surrounded by at work on a daily basis. The football players, obviously I got along best with them because I was around them the most. That was when I started realizing that the people that were picking on me were just being guys, and they were just doing what I called in the last video the bro code. A big thing that also helped outside of being on the football team, at least in terms of interacting and being an upstanding citizen, is ROTC. I was a member there for all 4 years. Actually won an award my sophomore year for the most improved student, and that includes academically, behaviorally, and just all around. ROTC was a lot of Marine Corps involvement. And when you think of something like that, normally the drill sergeant, the sergeant major, whatever, they're up in your face a lot, especially when you're doing something wrong. Coupled with the fact that in freshman year, I tried to be something I wasn't, and I would unknowingly put myself in really bad situations that are socially unacceptable. It all helped steer me towards acting typical. It helped mask my form of autism. So by the time I was a senior, I was feeling pretty good. I didn't really have many problems. The only problems I had were with women. Still have that problem now. But I would still do things that I wouldn't think about, that other kids would look at me differently. For example, for most of my sophomore and junior years, whenever it got to lunchtime, I almost always sat alone. Once I got to my senior year, I wasn't even eating in the cafeteria. I was eating upstairs in the athletic director's office, working on preparing for whatever game I had that day or that week. I sat by myself because I was under the impression that nobody really wanted me around. I wasn't in any clique. At this point, I was the guy that just got along with everybody. The kids that don't know me as the announcer. And here's where my mind starts thinking differently. Again, typical people turn right to go to Walmart. Autistic people turn left to go to Walmart. My thought process was I wasn't wanted by those people unless I was invited personally by either the group of people or one or two of the people there. I mean, think about it. Whenever you go to lunch and you see a group of people around and you probably get along with most of them, you wouldn't think twice to sit with that group of, say, 4, 5, 6 people. I don't think like that. And I still don't think like that. Even now, when someone has a get-together, or in college, if someone had a party, I wouldn't go because I thought that I was just not wanted there. The only way I would go is if someone invited me to go. And here's another thing. Just because that group or that person invited me to sit with them that day, now they have to invite me to sit with them tomorrow, the next day, the day after that. Another thing was, especially in the middle years of my high school years, was that I was very standoffish. It wasn't like middle school where I would deliberately act differently. I would go about my business, but my normal face, a lot of people are probably turned off by that. Whenever they see that face, they're probably thinking that that person is not friendly. So inadvertently right there, I'm pushing people back, which also adds to the thought of me not being wanted by all of these people, and therefore I'm being isolated when in reality I'm not. Here's another thing too. Maybe it's my personality, but my form of autism sometimes takes my attitude a little bit over the top. Okay, not a little bit, a lot over the top. I am a self-admitted perfectionist. I could do 99 things right, but at the end of the day, if I do one thing wrong, I will keep myself up for hours on end about that one mistake that I made. For example, that Brandon Rossi kid, I pronounced it Rossi. Oh no. Or, Fallon number 23, his fourth, check that, his third. Little things that my parents at least tell me they never would have noticed, but I'm the one that notices it. This was also the point in my life where I started thinking that I had to do everything by myself. And here's why. People with autism, normally you think that that person needs help with little things. I was so obsessed with proving people that that wasn't the case with me that a lot of the times it would be to my own detriment. Like, here's an example. I did the district championships for basketball last year at the University of Pittsburgh. I had it all planned out. It was gonna go this way, that way, and it was gonna be cake and coffee. And it did, because I told my partner that basically to go with a lot of the stuff that I was going with. Even to the point where it was an overtime game, and I slipped him a note at the end of the game. At the time, everything went perfectly. And then 2 days later, my boss called me and told me that I was fired because I wasn't part of a team. And there's a lot of cases, too, that I would put myself out there. If things go wrong, even if it's one little thing, just one, it all falls apart. And then a meltdown ensues. Perfect example of that, my senior year. I was involved with a pageant called Mr. West A. The way things were turning out, there were 5 contestants, including myself. The other 4 people were very close friends, and I was the odd man out. So right then and there, I had the mindset of proving people wrong, proving people that I stick out amongst this group. And the show comes and goes. I really put myself out there. I did a dance number at the beginning with all of the other contestants, dressed up in nice suits with all the pretty girls, and I had what I thought was the prettiest girl on my arm. Did my talent, which was playing drums, and I did a performance dedicated to my mom and my grandfather, who passed away before I was born, who also played the drums, by wearing his University of Virginia football jersey. And this is the really funny one. I came out in casual wear, dressed as the Crimson Chin.
He's the one and only Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents. Brandon's hobbies include announcing, obviously, playing the drums, obviously, watching sports, making new friends, and
normally this will be enough for someone to really come out of their shell. And then the final results come in. I'm super excited to hear what happened. And then I lost by 1 point. And I remember at the end, I was pissed off, all because I lost by 1. But take all of that out of the equation. What I should have been happy about was putting myself out there, and despite not winning, I think that I proved a lot of people wrong. at least at the time, in the moment before the results came in. But once the night was over, all I could think about was, I lost. It was something great. I put myself out there, something that I haven't done probably in my whole life to that degree. And I ruined it. Because my mind was thinking elsewhere. So that's it for this week's episode of My Extra Ability. Next week, we're going to be diving into some more specific situations dealing with people on the autism spectrum, whether it be scenarios, symptoms, or other forms of autism. So stay tuned for that next week, and thanks for watching.